You're not going to like the Philippines if.
But you're not going to like it.
Today I got 5 reasons why Western men don't stay in the Philippines. If you stay with me to the end, I'll give you a 6th reason why Western men don't stay in the Philippines. And remember, like, subscribe, and hit the notifications button if you like what I do here and you want to keep seeing my videos. The number 5 reason men don't like the Philippines and end up leaving, going back to the West, is noise. Noise here is constant and non-stop. I live in the province, the city, wherever you are, there's going to be a lot of noise. You have roosters crowing every morning, dogs barking, karaoke, traffic, loudness in general. People here don't seem to be disturbed by noise at all. I'll admit sometimes it bothers me. The festivals, here in Dingras, we have a festival that just ended last week, but it lasts like a month between Christmas and the festival. You know, there's the Christmas festival and then this festival season. It's more than a month. It's 6 weeks about. Every night there's a carnival, there's music, and you could hear it all over town. In fact, my last place, my apartment, the carnival was right behind my apartment. It's one of the reasons I moved. For 6 weeks straight, you hear the same music every night, the same songs playing over and over. I could still hear them in my head now, the same songs playing over and over and over every night. And it was loud in my apartment. And for the locals, it's not a problem. It's not something you can complain about to the police. Each neighborhood is called a barangay, so you could go to the barangay captain if you want and complain, but it's probably not going to get you anywhere.
Oh, complaining? No.
Reason number 5 is the noise. A lot of men from the West just can't handle the noise. You can't get away from it, and they end up moving back because of that. Reason number 4 that men from the West will leave the Philippines is infrastructure. Slow internet, no internet, bad phone service, internet disruptions is very common here. The roads aren't great. The housing isn't great. So a lot of men who are used to the US, like me, or Europe, or even Australia, they'll spend a while here, and after a while they just can't take it anymore. There's no street lights here to speak of, basically, so the roads are just kind of a free-for-all. Everybody just kind of looks at each other and nods their head which way they're going to go. In fact, there was a crazy bad accident here just last week where a truck parked on the wrong side of the road, pulled out without looking, and he hit a tricycle head on. There was a pregnant woman in the tricycle.
That's fucked up.
The guy driving the tricycle was the husband of the pregnant woman. He's dead. She's in the hospital. So there's accidents that happen that don't really need to happen if they had better infrastructure on the roads. So reason number 4, a lot of men won't stay in the Philippines or just can't handle it anymore, is the infrastructure. It's definitely lacking. Another infrastructure issue is sewage. Sewage is a problem. A lot of, like, the sewage from my house here just runs in the ditch behind the house. Sometimes there's a smell, sometimes there's other issues, but infrastructure is definitely lacking in the country. That being said, they're definitely doing more about infrastructure to get it better and to improve the infrastructure, but it's definitely lacking compared to the countries of the West. Okay, I'll make this quick. I don't want to take up too much time. I'm still a small channel. I was recently monetized, but it takes a lot of my time and effort to make these videos. So I have a website called Buy Me a Coffee, where if you want to help out my channel, if you like my videos, you want to see more videos, more frequent videos, if you want advice on traveling, living in the Philippines, you could sign up for the monthly membership on Buy Me a Coffee for $10 a month, and you can speak to me on WhatsApp, and I will give you advice. I've already done it for a couple other guys on traveling in the Philippines, how to get cheaper places to stay here, basically anything you want to know about traveling, not just in the Philippines, Thailand, Africa, South America. I've traveled all over the world. So thanks, and now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Let's get back to it.
Radio.
Number 3 reason that Western men won't stay in the Philippines is brownouts. There's not enough electricity capacity in the Philippines for all the electricity that's being used. You know, in the US, when we have a hurricane or a tornado or even a bad snowstorm, we'll have blackouts that are, come out of nowhere, and we just have to deal with them. Here they have what they call brownouts, which are planned blackouts. So you'll get a notification on your phone that 8 to 6 on the 10th, 11th, and 12th of March or whatever, those hours during the day, there's going to be no electricity. They're going to turn it off to save electricity. It's going to be a brownout. Up here in the north, it's not that bad, but where I used to live in Mindanao, it's pretty bad. It's like basically a weekly thing. So if you're a Western man here and you're working, you have a job that's in the West, that they're not really going to be too considerate. Your job back home in New York that you're working remotely or whatever, they're not going to be considerate of you not getting your deadlines met because you had a brownout in the Philippines once a week or twice a week. So a lot of Western men, they won't be able to deal with the brownouts that are common here, and that's another reason they'll move back to the West. Okay, reason number 2 is a big one, the weather. So here in the Philippines, it's hot and humid everywhere.
It's so damn hot.
Except for the city of Baguio, which is at high elevation and rarely gets over 85 degrees there, which is cold for the Philippines. You see people wearing sweatshirts and jackets there every day. I mean, not a Westerner, but the locals here, they'll get cold real easy. Even here in Dingras, where it's 95 most days all year, 90 to 95, especially in the summer. You'll see in the morning when it's a little cooler out, like 75 to 80, everybody will be bundled up in their jackets, riding their motorcycles. I mean, it's very rare. One time I rode the motorcycle early in the morning here, and it was in the winter, which is almost no different from the summer, and I got a little chilly riding in just a t-shirt, but 99.9% of the time, it's too hot here for a Westerner. The humidity, it even gets to me sometimes. I love the heat. I went for a while here without aircon, but it really affects your sleep if you don't have air conditioning. Heat and humidity, some guys, especially guys who are bigger, used to colder temperatures, grew up in the north, they won't be able to handle it here. And this is one of the reasons that I'm moving closer to the beach next year, because if it's a lot easier to handle the temperature if you're on the beach and there's a breeze and you can go for a swim every day. Other than that, the heat and humidity, if you don't like it, like I kind of like heat and humidity, but even me, it gets to me after a while, day in and day out, hot and humid. I have aircon now. I got it here. I put it in here myself because it was basically essential to get by for me to sleep. If you want a good night's sleep, I think you have to have aircon here. The heat, the weather, the climate here is one of the reasons men will go back to the West and not stay in the Philippines. And reason number 1, the number 1 reason Western men will leave the Philippines is running out of money.
Out of food and out of money.
Men will come here before retirement age. A lot of you guys know the story about John from Dumaguete. He was, I think, around my age, in his mid-50s when he moved here. He met a girl and he had kids with her, and he moved here with $30,000, I believe. He wasn't old enough to get Social Security, so I believe he tried to work online, but it didn't work out. He ended up spending that whole $30,000. He was very generous with his wife's family.
And I mean really fucking stupid.
And of course, he had 1 or 2 kids with his wife or girlfriend. I'm not even sure if they're married. But I think he spent it on a house and housing. He went through that $30,000 in basically under a year. I mean, $30,000, if you're not at retirement age where you get Social Security or you don't have some kind of remote income, you're not going to make it here because it's going to cost you $1,000 a month minimum as a Westerner to live here in the Philippines. And then on top of that, you can have unexpected expenses, maybe health things, whatever could come up. Something is going to come up. So it's simple math will tell you $30,000 will get you 30 months at $1,000 and $1,000 a month, and probably less than that if you really think about it and look at your expenses. If you go on a vacation, I easily spent $1,000 on mine and my girlfriend's vacation last month to Thailand. Probably more than $1,000, I would say. And then we went to Boracay 3 months ago. That was another $1,000. Of course, I still work in the West, so I could afford some vacations and stuff. It's not too much of a burden for me. I know I'm going back to work in the West for a few months and then coming back here The stories of Western guys homeless in the streets of the Philippines are never ending. You see them all the time on the news here. There are people that help them out and stuff, and they'll pull together, like YouTubers pulled together for John and got him a ticket back home. He went back home, worked for about a year, and I think he's back in the Philippines now, doing better, and he's closer to 62 now, so pretty soon he'll get his Social Security and he'll be fine. But you do not want to end up destitute living on the streets in the Philippines. I mean, yeah, it's warm, it's okay like that, but it's as bad or worse than living on the streets in the US.
It's too much! It's too much!
So, reason number one, men will go back to the West after living in the Philippines is running out of money. I would say don't move here if you're not at retirement age with less than $100,000 in the bank. I know other guys, I think Gio in the Philippines has told a story that he moved here in his 40s, I think, with $10,000, but he had a full-time job he got when he came here. So that's different. So anyway, reason number one, money. Men from the West will run out of money, and especially if they get in a relationship with a Filipina, and there's endless stories of Filipinas taking advantage of Western men and scamming them out of their money. So make sure you have enough money to get by and pay for whatever expenses might come up. Okay, so you sat through 5 reasons that men from the West will not stay in the Philippines and move back to the West. So I'm going to give you the bonus reason. Reason number 6, while men from the West don't stay in the Philippines, and that's failed relationships. A lot of men will come here for a relationship. They'll meet a girl online. It'll seem like the perfect girl. Probably an older guy, maybe an older guy, and she'll be much younger, beautiful. They'll come here. The sex will be great. You're having sex with this young girl that you haven't had sex prior with a girl that age in 20 years. A Filipina, believe me, is a temptress in bed. They'll do whatever you want to please you. But then a lot of guys, the fantasy ends, and she could end up just being a scammer, or gotcha. The realities of a relationship could kick in. Maybe you got divorced in the U.S. and you're tired of a relationship and being beholden to somebody all the time. Well, the relationship you have in the Philippines is going to be the same. You get in a relationship with a girl here, yeah, the fantasy is great. This beautiful girl, great body, they're all skinny here. But eventually it ends up being like any other relationship, and you have to work on it and commit to it, and you have to be willing to do those things to be in a relationship. So if you're not willing to be in a relationship, it's going to end like any other relationship. And that's the 6th bonus reason that men from the West will leave the Philippines. Their relationship ends.